Today we are going to talk about another airport in the Phoenix area, Falcon Field. If you want to jump to specific topics, you can use the links in the description. Just as a reminder, I am not a CFI and I'm just sharing my personal experience and information I've gathered from people who know the airport better than me. Remember to subscribe, press the like button, and you can follow me on Instagram at flyeasynotcrazy. Let's go over the agenda. First, we'll go over the basic airport information and operation. Next, we'll talk about your first contact with the tower and some reporting points you may use. Then, we will look for ground reference point you can use to get to the airport. We will then see how to fly the pattern and some communication you may get. Next, we will see the impact of having parallel runway and what you need to know. We will end with some of the things to remember as you fly in and out of Falcon Field. First, I want to talk about the Facebook group Falcon Field Fly Community. If you have any question about Falcon Field Airport, this is the place to go. I would not have been able to make this video without the help of the member of this group. Next, I want to thank the people working at Falcon Field Airport. They are working very hard to engage with the community and share their passion for flying. They organize events for kids, veterans, and the community. And of course, thanks to the people working at the tower for handling the traffic of one of the busiest airports in the country. Let's talk about the airport now. Falcon Field is a general aviation airport. Everything they do is geared towards the general aviation and the community. If you go to the airport website, it's all about the community. If you want to get more information about Falcon Field Airport history, you go in About Us, Falcon Field Airport History. Another page to visit is the event page. In the event page, you can see everything happening at the airport. Here is an example for February 2021. Another page to visit is in My Community, Tour, Speaker, and Aircraft. Here you can find how to schedule a tour, have a presentation, and location you can use for viewing the aircraft landing and taking off at Falcon Field Airport. Now, most of the operations at Falcon Field Airport are from the general aviation, the military, the police, flight schools, and the Falcon Field Museum. As I understand, all the planes in the museum fly once in a while. If you want to be a passenger in some of those planes, you can go to the museum website. Select Fly with Us and Fly Info and Schedule. You can see a list of all the planes and the calendar to book a fly. Now remember, those flights are not free, and the price will depend on the plane and the seat location. Now, let's see how busy was the airport last year, 2020. Here is a report which shows you the number of operations for all the airports in the US. You can see Deer Valley is 5th with 402,000 operations, but it's the first class Delta airport in the country. Centennial is 8th with 331,000 and the second class Delta in the country. Falcon Field is 11th with 307,000 and it's the third class Delta in the country. Arizona has 2 class Delta in the top 15 of all the airports in the country, and 2 class Delta in the top 3 of all the class Delta airports in the country. This shows you how busy the Phoenix airspace is, and why you may get instruction which you may not be used to. Next is the airspace and runways. Here is a Falcon Field airspace. It goes from the ground all the way up to 3,399. It's under the Phoenix Bravo airspace. Now you can see that Falcon Field airspace is right on the path of aircraft landing or taking off from Phoenix Sky Harbor, which means the Bravo shell is going to be at its lowest over Falcon Field. Between your minimum altitude at around 2,400 and the Bravo shell at 4,000 and 5,000 feet, this does not give you a lot of space to navigate when you have a high volume of traffic. The other impact is the proximity of Mesa Gateway Airport and Chandler Airport, both Class Delta Airport, which reduce the space available and makes you fly through corridor between all those Class Delta airports. You are limited on the altitude because of the Bravo shield and also restricted by the other Class Delta airspaces. The runway at Falcon Field are 4 left, 4 right, 2 to right, and 2 to left. Most of the time, you start the day on 4 left and 4 right. And in general, between 10 to noon, there is a wind shift and you will end up on the opposite runway. The north runway is used for arrival from the north, pattern work, and overflow from the south. The south runway is mostly used by itinerant. This is the setup the tower seems to use. It does not mean that you won't get pattern work on the south runway or that you won't get the north runway for full stop coming from the south. The documented traffic patterns are right traffic for 2 to right and right traffic for 2 to left, left traffic for 4 left, and left traffic for 4 right. Now let's see what the tower is most likely to give you. They are most likely to give you a right traffic for 2 to right and the left traffic for 4 left. They will give you a left traffic for 2 to left and the right traffic for 4 right. You need to use the documented traffic pattern when the tower is closed. And remember, the north runways are closed when the tower is closed. When the tower is open, follow the instructions they give you. When the tower is closed, follow the documented traffic pattern. Next, let's talk about flight school. There are a lot of traffic due to the flight schools at the airport. How does it impact you? Number one, you need to be more alert and more patient. Some of those students are like me, and English is not our first language. Number two, sometimes they will fly a wider pattern. I won't go over the reason why. If you want to get more information, go over the Falcon Field Community Facebook group. You can find some discussion about it. Just know there are reasons for it. They are following a process. Now be aware that if you are following traffic, you may need to fly a wider pattern or slow down. Two things happened to me while I was following a pilot flying a wide traffic pattern, and I think it's important to mention them. I was downwind following traffic as the tower had instructed me. I was around here, going this way. But the traffic I was following was around here, still in downwind. Going this way. I was confused and thought that I was following the wrong traffic until the plane turned base. This is dangerous because you may turn base sooner thinking you were following the wrong traffic, or you may focus too much on looking for traffic and not fly the airplane. That's why it's important to know some pilots fly wide pattern, and if you have any doubt, ask the tower. Next, I did my touch and go, and the plane ahead of me was still flying a white pattern. I was around here at 2,100 feet, which is the altitude I turned crosswind at Falcon. The other airplane was downwind here around my 2 o'clock. What would have happened if I had turned crosswind? If I was not paying attention to the radio call and the fact that the plane was still in the pattern, I may have turned and head towards the other plane. Remember, following traffic does not stop after you do a touch and go. If the plane ahead of you stays in the pattern, assume that you need to follow them. Of course, if the tower tells them to change runway, don't follow them. Our last item for the intro is the Boeing private helipad, which is north of the airport. It's right here. You will fly close to it while in downwind for runway 4 left or 22 right. You may receive traffic alert from 4Fly or your airplane GPS system if an helicopter is ready to take off. Remember, they are working and coordinating their arrival and departure with the tower. Now, let's look at the thing to know when you are coming to Falcon Field Airport.
Arrival south of the runway centerline contact tower on 124.6. North of the runway centerline contact tower on 119.7.
In the short supplement and in 4Fly, you will find only one frequency for the tower. But most of the time, Falcon is using 2 frequencies. The only way to know that is by listening to 80s. One frequency is for 4 left and 22 right, and the other frequency is for 4 right and 22 left. In general, the north side use 119.7 and the south side use 124.6. It's very important to have both frequencies ready because the tower may ask you to change runway and frequency. I just want to go quickly about reporting process. I was taught to call the tower 8 to 10 miles, and it seems to be the preferred distance for Falcon Field Tower. Remember, if you are coming from the south, it may be difficult for the tower to distinguish you from Chandler traffic. Another thing is, in general, the tower will not ask you to report your position once they tell you how to enter the pattern. That's why the reporting point I will give you are for you to indicate your position. If you're planning to do touch and go, let the tower know if it's one or multiple. And if it's one, then just tell them your departure direction. For example, if you're coming from Scottsdale, Falcon Tower, Skyhawk 12345, just off Scottsdale Airport, request multiple touch and goes, or request touch and go and departure to Gateway Airport. In the second case, Tower may use the south runway to make your departure easier. Now, remember, keep it simple. Nothing like Falcon Tower, Skyhawk 12345, just off Scottsdale Airport, request multiple touch and goes. Can the first one be a stop and go, the second one a short approach, and the third one full stop taxi back, and then departure to the south? You need to find a balance, give the information which will help the tower without holding the frequency for too long. Now here is the tricky situation. You're flying from Scottsdale and you want to go to Gateway Airport, or vice versa. You have 3 options. Number 1, you can go around Falcon Field airspace. Number 2, you can go above. Number 3, you can go through Falcon Field airspace. There is no issue going around. But if you go above, you have only 601 feet between Falcon Field airspace and the Bravo airspace. Is it worth taking a chance? Just call Falcon Tower and ask for a delta transition. Like this, they have you on frequency and it's less stressful for them, and they know your intention. I was never denied a delta transition by Falcon Tower. You just call them and ask for the delta transition. They will give you an altitude to stay above, and you just cross over midfield above the given altitude. It's easy, safer, and helps the tower. Another important point is to make sure you hear and read back the correct runway. This is critical when you have parallel runways, and it's easier to mix up runway 4 left and runway 4 right than runway 3 and runway 21. And remember, if you are coming from the north, the tower may ask you to land on the south runway or the other way around. Now, before going over some reporting points you can use to give your position to the tower, I just want to show you some pattern entry points which the tower may use. Knowing those points helps the tower reduce the instruction they have to give you, and it may help you get the runway you want. For example, if you are coming from the north, doing a full stop and parking on the south side, tower may give you a wide base to allow you to land on the south runway. Our first entry point is Gilbert Road, right here. You have two ways to identify Gilbert Road. Number one, it intersects with the Beeline Highway and the 202. The other way is to use your VFR sectional. And you can see that Gilbert Road is at the border of Falcon Field airspace. Gilbert Road is used for a base entry to 4 left or 4 right. Our last entry point is Granite Reef Dam, right here. Tower may ask you to join base over the dam. I mean, from here you will join base and fly final. Here is a picture. You can see the dam right here, and this picture was taken from the northeast. Here are some reporting points you can use to give to the tower. Our first group of reporting points are Stellar, Chandler, and Phoenix Mesa Gateway. Let's take a look on the map. You can see Stellar is right here, Chandler is here, and Gateway Airport is right here. You can just say something like just off Gateway Airport, or just off Chandler Airport, or over Stellar Airport. But for Stellar Airport, you may be a little bit far, and tower may ask you to report from our next point. Our next point is Mesquite High School, if you are coming from the southwest. Let's take a look on the map. You can see Mesquite High School is right here. Let's take a look at a picture. Here you can see the high school is right here. An easy way to identify it is you have a lake just next to it. But just remember, in this area there are a lot of lakes. Then be careful and make sure you have the right point. If you're coming from the southeast, you can use AJ Landfill. Let's take a look on the map. AJ Landfill is right here. Now this point can only be found if you have the southeast practice area overlay. Let's take a look at a picture, and you can see over here AJ Landfill. If you're coming from the west, you can use Scottsdale Airport. And Scottsdale Airport is right here. If you're coming from Scottsdale Airport, you just say just off of Scottsdale Airport. And if you are south of the airport, you can specify that you are south of Scottsdale Airport. Our last reporting point is Fountain Hill. Let's take a look on the map. And you can see Fountain Hill right here. Let's take a look at the picture. And you can see this is Fountain Hill. Fountain Hill is very easy to recognize. You have the fountain here. If the fountain is running, it will be easy to identify it. And this was our last reporting point. Now let's find some ground reference point to get to the airport. If you are coming from the north, Red Mountain is the best and easiest point to use. It's out there standing by itself. Here is a picture, and you can see Red Mountain right here. Let's look for it on the map. And it's right here. Now, you want to stay on the west side and head south. And you will see the citrus tree west of the airport, right here. Let's see a picture of this tree. You can see the tree right there and the road leading to the tree. If we go back to the map, now you can see that if you follow the road, that gives you an easy entry for runway 4, or if you stay on the west side, that will give you an easy entry for runway 22. If you're coming from the northeast, follow Salt River all the way to Red Mountain. Let's take a look on the map. You have Salt River here. You just need to follow all the way to Red Mountain. Let's take a look at a picture. And here is a picture of Salt River. Now for the northwest side, we follow the same principle. You follow the canal or Shea Boulevard until you reach Red Mountain. Let's take a look on the map. You can see you have the canal right here, which leads you to Red Mountain. Shea Boulevard is right here. And right here, you should be able to see Red Mountain and head south. From the south, you find the legs and the wagon wheel. The legs are right here. Wagon wheel is right here. Then from the legs, you head towards the wagon wheel. From the wagon wheel, you have multiple options. Option number 1, you can just follow the road and enter either way on downwind. Option number 2, you can follow the canal to enter on base. Or the tower may ask you to do a wide base like this. Let's take a look at the picture. Here you can see the legs. And here you can see the wagon wheel with the wash that you can follow. For our last ground reference point, if you are coming from the west, you have Apache Junction and the 202. Apache Junction here, you just follow the road right here. Now you have two options. You may follow the 202 to enter on base, or may continue to the wagon wheel. Now you have the airport in sight, and you need to fly the pattern. Let's take a look at the map. This is what a pattern would look like if you stay 1 mile from the runway. This shows you the most likely pattern the tower will give you for each runway. Right traffic in red for 4 right and 22 right, left traffic in blue for 4 left and 22 left. First, make sure you are careful flying over the helipad at low altitude. This can happen during a short approach or an early crosswind turn. The helicopter pattern altitude is 1,900 feet and light aircraft is 2,400 feet. For our first point, you can use Cal Portland Higley plant. Let's take a look on the map. You can see it right here. You can use it as a reference for your downwind. You want to be on top of it or just on the outside. Here is a picture. You can see the plant right here, and you just want to fly just on the outside or on top of it right here. The next point is the 202. This part of the highway is around 1 mile from the runway. You can use it to decide when to turn base when you are landing on 22 left or 22 right. Now, for the south runway, you have Alta Mesa Golf Club. Here it is on the map. You will need to stay on the northwest side of the golf club when you are on downwind. Here is a picture, and you see the golf club here. The last point to help you fly the pattern is what I call the circle. You can see it on the map right here. It looks like a circle. You can use it to decide when to turn base. You see on the map right now, it's approximately 1 mile from the runway. And here is a picture. You can see it right here on the picture. Let's go over some instruction you may get and the situation which may confuse you. Except for the parallel runway instruction, which we will see in our next slide, Falcon Field instructions are pretty straightforward.
Astrid at 1692, extend down on fire base.
In this case, the tower will let you know when you can turn base.
6 here, Charlie, extend up 1 clear crosswind.
Similar situations, the tower will let you know when you can turn crosswind.
Cessna 9 Lima Alpha, make a right 360.
In some situations, the tower may ask you to do a right or a left 360.
Cessna 9 Lima Alpha, number 2, follow Cessna, base to a 2-mile final, runway 4 left, clear touch and go.
In many situations, you will have to follow traffic at Falcon Field. You will have to decide when to turn crosswind and when to turn base based on the traffic ahead of you. You may get confused about the communication process to leave the run-up area for runway 4 right. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because the run-up area is different from other airports and a little bit more away from the runway. Let's take a look at some picture. You see, it's a little bit away and you have individual spots. Here is the run-up area. Here is the view from the ground, and you can see each airplane has its own spot to do its run-up. This may lead you to think that you need to call ground after your run-up is done. This is not the case as far as I understand. You will only call ground if they ask you to notify them after you run up. It will be some things like advise when run-up complete.
Cessna 9 Lima Alpha, continue on the extended downwind. The other tower will call your base. Change to runway 4 left and contact tower 119.
You're in downwind. You need to change frequency, and the other tower will call your base. You may get stressed because the other tower is waiting for you to call them. Do you really want to set a new frequency now, or have it ready and just switch between the 2 tower frequency? Remember, always have both frequencies ready. Having parallel runway is nice because it allows the airport to handle more traffic, but it comes with its own challenges. First, when you have parallel runways, it's important to not extend your base past the runway, because you may have another airplane on final or base for the other runway. it's better to turn final sooner rather than later. Tower will try to notify you if another airplane is on final on the parallel runway. Pay attention to the communication and don't mistake this notification for a follow traffic instruction. Here is an example at Mesa Gateway. I was on final for runway 30 center, and another airplane was turning base for 30 right. This is why it's important to turn base sooner rather than later, and to line up on the correct runway. Next, you may get confused and land on the taxi lane. Let's take a look at the airport diagram. It seems to be happening mostly on taxi lane delta and more often than you may expect it. Here is taxi lane delta. Remember, make sure you see the 4L, 4R, 22L or 22R on the runway before landing, else just go around.
Passenger 7205, change runway 22 left, contact tower on 124.
Now, tower may ask you to change runway and frequency. This may happen at any time. The only potential exception is if you are within a mile final. You will need to change frequency and let the tower know that you are now on frequency. If you are on base or final, then changing runway is easy. Just extend your base or fly to the number of the new runway. In all the other cases, follow the last instruction given and get new instruction once you change frequency. Let's see how we can cross the other runway after a full stop. You're coming to land on 4 left, and you want to park here. Two situations may happen. You're coming very fast, and you pass a Bravo. You can see the next taxi lane is Charlie all the way at the end of the runway. Remember to adjust your speed accordingly. You don't want to be blocking the runway. In our next case scenario, tower will tell you turn right, taxiway Bravo, or short runway 4 right. Then you will turn right on Bravo and all short of the runway. Next, the tower will tell you contact tower 124.6. Now remember, you don't want to hold short of runway 4 right in the middle of Bravo. You want to leave enough space behind you for another airplane to be able to hold on Bravo. Next, you will call the tower and tell them 1234 holding short 4 right at Bravo, request taxi to parking. Tower will tell you to hold short or to taxi as follow. Cross runway 4 right, taxi Delta 6, Delta to parking and monitor ground. This is in general the situation that you will face when you try to cross the runway. Now for another case, which never happened to me. Tower may ask you to cross the runway for departure on the other runway, or to make you hold on the other side of the runway. This will happen if you are on an IFR flight, your clearance is not ready, and you are blocking other plane. Tower will ask you to cross the runway and hold short from the other side, or hold short of the other runway. Another reason is because of traffic. It may be easier to get you to the other runway than let you take off. Here are the things which are good to keep in mind. The calm wind runways are 4 left and 4 right. The glide slope is 4 degrees, which means steeper descent. Stop and go and midfield departure are allowed at Falcon Field Airport. This one is for out-of-state pilot, and it applies to all the airports in the Phoenix area. Phoenix is known as the Valley of the Sun. This means that starting around 10 a.m. on one day, which is 90% of the year, you most likely will have turbulence between the surface all the way up to 5,000 feet, and even higher during the summer. This was our last item. Thanks again for watching Fly Easy Not Crazy. Remember to subscribe and press the like button if you enjoy the video.